Sierra Thompson had always known what it meant to be an outsider. At Westbridge High School, nestled in the heart of Charleston, South Carolina, being black in a nearly all-white school meant she was constantly reminded of her place, whether in whispers that stopped just short of audibility or the hard stares that followed her down the hall. Teachers watched her too closely, marking her tardies more harshly than others. Security guards always seemed to be stationed near whichever hallway she walked through. Students talked just loud enough to be heard, like they wanted to make sure she did. What's she even doing here? Guess they needed to hit their diversity quota. Better daddy some deadbeat who took off years ago. Sierra never reacted. She couldn't. If she did, she'd be called angry, aggressive, trouble. She'd seen it before. She'd learned to lower her head, eat lunch alone, speak only when directly asked, and above all, avoid attracting attention. But then there was Logan Mercer. Logan wasn't just any student. He was the student, golden boy of Westbridge, captain of the lacrosse team, son of Judge William Mercer, whose reputation stretched across the state. Logan had charm, wealth, and connections. Teachers adored him, parents trusted him, and students followed him. His was a life where the rules didn't apply. For the last 2 months, Sierra had been his personal project. Chapter 2, The Golden Boy's Target. At first, it was small things. Logan accidentally knocked her books out of her hands. He bumped into her hard in the hallway, just enough to make her stumble. His friends muttered things under their breath as she passed. Careful, might catch something. Does she even shower? Surprised her type hasn't dropped out yet. The first time, Sierra clenched her fists so tightly her nails dug half-moons into her palms. But she walked away. That was the rule. Don't give them a reason. But Logan wasn't satisfied, and each day it got worse. One afternoon, Sierra was sitting at her usual table in the cafeteria, unwrapping the peanut butter sandwich she had made herself. Before she could take a bite, a hand snatched her lunch bag off the table. She didn't even have to look. She knew who it was. "What's for lunch, Thompson?" Logan sneered, shaking the bag like it was something disgusting. "Peanut butter again? What? Your dad's new job can't afford real food." Laughter rippled across the cafeteria as Logan tore open the bag. Sierra's hands tightened under the table. She wanted to tell him to shut up, to take her lunch back, but she didn't. She couldn't. Logan leaned in closer, his voice dripping with mock concern. "You should really say thank you. I'm helping you keep that big mouth of yours shut." Then he tossed her sandwich over his shoulder. It hit the floor with a soft splat. The sound echoed in her mind. Sierra bent to retrieve it, but before she could, Logan stepped on it. Slowly, deliberately, grinding it into the tile beneath his expensive dress shoe. "Oops," someone snickered. "Should be used to picking up scraps anyway." The cafeteria roared with laughter. Sierra stood, her throat tight, and walked away. She didn't look back. She wouldn't give them that satisfaction. But as she reached the exit, a voice called out across the room. "Enough." Chapter 3, An Unexpected Ally. The room fell silent. Sierra turned. Standing a few tables away was Cole Harrison. He was tall, with messy blonde hair and sharp blue eyes. The kind of guy who could have easily run with Logan's crowd, but didn't. Logan smirked. "You lost, Harrison?" Cole's expression didn't change. "I said enough. Leave her alone." The cafeteria froze. Logan tilted his head, amused. "Didn't realize you were in a charity cases." Cole's jaw tightened. "Didn't realize you were such a coward." Gasps rippled through the room. Logan's smirk slipped for a fraction of a second. He glanced around and saw everyone watching. If he escalated, he might lose control of the narrative. So instead, he scoffed and backed off. "Relax, man," Logan said. "Just having a little fun." Cole didn't move until Logan walked away. Then he turned to Sierra. "You okay?" Sierra didn't know how to respond. No one had ever stepped in for her before. She nodded. "Mind if I sit?" Cole asked. Sierra blinked. "You want to sit here?" Cole shrugged. "If I do, maybe next time someone else will." Sierra doubted that, but for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel entirely alone. Chapter 4, Drawing the Line. That night, Sierra hardly spoke at home. She slipped quietly into her room, shutting the door softly behind her. No slumming. Not even here. Her dad, Chief Nathaniel Thompson was already dealing with enough, moving their family, stepping in as the new police chief, cleaning up the mess the last guy had left behind. She wasn't going to add high school drama to his plate. The next day, it got worse. Before first period, Sierra was grabbing her books when something slammed hard into her back. She staggered forward, nearly hitting her forehead on the locker door. Laughter erupted behind her. Logan leaned against the lockers, grinning. "My bad, Thompson. Didn't see you there." She clenched her fists, but said nothing. He wanted a reaction. She wouldn't give him one. By lunch, a rumor had spread. Sierra had tried to fight Logan. She swung on him and then cried when he laughed at her. Everywhere she walked, whispers followed. She found her usual lonely table. But Cole slid into the seat across from her again. This time, people noticed. The next morning, the atmosphere had shifted. Students looked at Sierra differently, not with pity, but curiosity, interest, suspicion. Some sneered. Others whispered. Logan leaned against the lockers nearby, watching. "Enjoying your new bodyguard, Thompson?" Logan asked. Sierra said nothing. "Didn't know you needed a white savior," he added. She stiffened but didn't engage. "Bet you think he actually cares," Logan continued. "But we both know how this ends. He'll get bored. Move on. Then where'll you be?" Sierra slammed her locker shut. "I don't need anyone to fight for me." Logan's grin widened. "Goo. But kids like me? We win. Kids like you? You disappear." He stepped closer. "And if you don't disappear, I'll make sure you wish you had." Chapter 5. Fight or Flight. For the first time, Sierra didn't feel fear. She felt something else. Something sharper. But before she could act, Cole was there again. "Is there a problem?" His voice was calm, but his eyes were cold steel. Logan raised his hands in mock surrender. "Relax, Harrison. Just chatting." Then he turned to Sierra. "Oh, and Thompson? Check your phone." The second he was gone, Sierra's phone buzzed. Dozens of notifications. There was a photo circulating, an edited image of her, face twisted into a snarl, hands clawed. Across it, bold red letters screamed, "Psycho Thompson can't control herself." The comments were brutal. "Looks insane. No wonder no one talks to her." Probably attacked Cole, too. Sierra's hand shook. Cole glanced over her shoulder. "It doesn't matter," she whispered. "It does," Cole said. "They're trying to destroy you." Sierra gave a hollow laugh. "What am I supposed to do? Go to the principal?" Logan's dad runs this town. Cole's jaw tightened. Then he pulled out his phone. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Fixing it." Chapter 6. Lines in the Sand. Minutes later, Cole posted his own photo, a screenshot of the edited image with the caption, "This is what bullies do when they're scared. They lie, they manipulate, and they use power to silence people. Don't fall for it." "You don't have to do this," Sierra said. Cole replied. "Because if people like me stay quiet, people like Logan keep winning." By lunch, Cole's post had gone viral, at least by Westbridge standards. Some students questioned everything. Others doubled down. Logan was nowhere to be seen. Until he was. Chapter 7. The Power Behind the Curtain. The cafeteria doors swung open. Logan walked in with his father, Judge Mercer, behind him. Principal Dalton trailed close, his face pale. "Mr. Harrison," Dalton said. "A word." Cole stood, scraping his chair back. He followed them out. Sierra's stomach churned. 20 minutes later, Cole returned. His expression unreadable. "They're threatening to suspend me," he said. "Judge Mercer calls it defamation." Sierra felt cold. Of course. Logan's father wasn't just protecting his son. He was using his power to silence Cole. "I'm not taking it down," Cole said. "If they suspend you, then they suspend me." Sierra exhaled slowly. "Then we fight back." Chapter 8. The System Shifts. The next day, Cole was called in again. When he returned, he was different. "They made a mistake," he said. "They call my dad Sierra Froneth." And Cole hesitated. "My dad's Daniel Harrison, U.S. Attorney for the District of South Carolina." By lunch, students buzzed. Cole's dad had arrived with federal investigators. Within the hour, Principal Dalton was escorted from campus. By evening, news broke. Judge Mercer was under federal investigation for corruption and obstruction of justice. Chapter 9. Winning the Unwinnable. The next day, Logan was gone. Expelled. His father faced disbarment. Sierra walked the halls differently now. People looked at her with something new, respect, maybe fear. Cole smiled. They saw what happens when people fight back, he said. Sierra Nadif. And now they know. Chapter 10. A New Beginning. Sierra knew this wasn't the end. There would always be another Logan, another Mercer. But now she knew she wasn't alone. And that changed everything.